Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's Happening in Your Neighborhood. I'm Scott Pemberton, and today my guest is Sergeant Trevor Sylvia and Assistant Deputy Chief Derek Belong from the Bedford Police Department. And we're here today to talk about how you too can become a police officer and how to apply. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure.
Happy to be here.
Yes, thanks. So let's just get going right there. There's a new thing that came out before with recruits now. I know when you had to apply, it used to be once a year, and it was a civil service exam that you had to take. Now they have a new thing with no civil service test.
Correct.
Can you spend a little bit about that now and the new procedures now?
Yeah. So, as you know, Scott, traditionally, if somebody wants to be a police officer in Massachusetts, if it's a civil service community, it would enroll and take an exam. The exams would happen either yearly or bi-yearly, depending on what decade we were in with Massachusetts. But recently, this year, they came out with some new language and some new laws that allow people to get a job as a civil service police officer without taking the test.
Right.
So it gives them a second option on being able to become a police officer much more quicker than they would if they were taking an exam and then waiting for those results to come out. And depending on where they land on that civil service list would dictate if they were offered a job or not.
Right. And so and when does this test come out? Is there something that they can apply at any time, or is there still a certain time that they still need to apply?
Anytime. So that's the beautiful piece of it, right, is there's no test.
Okay.
Obviously, and I'll have the sergeant go over all of the requirements to become employed as a police officer. But with us agreeing to this memorandum of understanding with civil service, you need nothing else, just to be 21 years old, some other qualifications. You can come in any day and get an application. It's all online. It's all digital.
Oh, nice.
You know, we have a QR code. You go on the website. You can scan it. You can click it. Once you fill out an application and the department gets notified, we can begin the hiring process almost immediately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's great. So no more waiting. Like
no more waiting.
2-3 more months
Right.
when you take it.
Yeah.
So that's a good advantage for you guys.
It's a huge advantage, not only for us, but the folks who might have missed the exam, like it just passed. If they missed sign-ups, if they didn't have the money to pay the state to take the test.
Right.
Right, because there's a cost to that.
Right. And so this way, there's no cost with this way.
There's a...
Just the cost for the application through Police App.
Okay.
That's who we run the test through. I believe it's $30 or $35. That's the fee to use the website.
Okay.
And we don't make any money off that.
Right. That's what the website stuff. Good.
Yeah.
And the requirements is they still got to be 21 though, right? We already said that 21.
21 at the start of the academy.
Right. Okay.
So if the academy starts in July and their birthday's in June, they'd
apply.
be eligible.
All right. Good. So and then let's go through the hiring process. So they go ahead and take there's no exam, so they just go ahead and apply. You get notified. You give them a call. What's the next step?
Want to talk about it?
Well, we'll go through the application. We'll sort through the applications to see what we have. When we find a good application, I'll assign that application to one of my background investigators.
Okay.
From there, they'll go through the application with a fine-tooth comb, make sure all the boxes are checked, that it's properly filled out. That's going to be our first look at the candidate to see, did they follow directions correctly?
Right.
Did they give us all the information that we need? And then from there, the background investigator will go through employment history, residential history, any military history, drug use, any criminal activity that they might have been involved in, drug. Personal references and work references.
Right, yeah. So so it's still an extensive background.
It's still the same background as anybody else.
Right. Yeah. So just no test.
No test. That's it. That's the only difference.
Which is good. And because I believe sometimes you can have some really good candidates out there, but sometimes some people have trouble taking tests too.
Absolutely.
That's a great point.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So this
as
may
an
help
example,
that,
we teach a class, and we're the only community around who offers this. It's the civil service preparation test. It's like a one morning course. We do it on a Saturday. We did it in March.
Right.
Myself, Sergeant Sylvia, and Assistant Deputy Corolla. The three of us are there. I teach from the book that they give you to study. And most of the candidates taking that exam, they sit for this class and they say, I'd never seen this book.
Right.
This stuff's confusing.
Right,
What are they
right.
asking? And we have to spend 4 hours breaking down the scenarios and what they're asking and try to help them just get familiar.
Exactly.
So when they
right.
sit for that test, they're prepared a little bit.
Right.
You know, and then the best thing about it is, and we told all the people that took the class like a month ago, even if you're on a list, say you're number 100,
Yep.
you're not exempt from coming in and getting an application and skipping the line, basically.
Right.
You're number 100 in line on the exam, but you're a good candidate. You can take an application today, and if you're a qualified candidate and we hire you, then we can move you from that hypothetical 100 on the list
Right.
and put you on the other column of this new process, and you can get a job immediately.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's
Yeah.
really great. It's a
Yeah.
great benefit for us, too.
Yeah, I think so. Especially now. I mean, it's you're on the staff now. This is going to
Yes.
actually help you get back to staff. Hopefully, bring back the staff. You know.
Correct.
And it's
Yeah.
it's important because the entire civil service community in Massachusetts, every agency can now have people leave. So if you're an officer somewhere,
Right.
you have the right to now transfer laterally.
Right.
So we're included in that, whether we want to accept or not. So you have
Right.
to get in the game, right? So to
Right.
speak, is we had to get on board with this. We're one of the first communities in the area to enroll in this new type of hiring.
Okay.
We're very proud of it. I think
Yep.
it's extremely important. There's a lot of great candidates that live in New Bedford who I think have interest in being a police
Right.
officer, but don't know how to start.
Right.
So here it
exactly.
is, QR
Right.
code.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so, have you had anybody apply yet with this new
Yeah,
system
I
yet?
I have about 26 applications.
Really? Already, huh?
The
Nice.
first, within the first hour that we got it, I would say 3 hours that it was put out, like 3-4 hours later, I already had like 4 or 5
Wow,
applications.
wow, that is great then, yeah. Wow.
it's
So
exciting.
it is exciting, and
Yeah.
it's good to know that they're already doing that and
Yeah.
they're out there and they probably see that advantage, like you said, because, like we said earlier, some of them can't take tests. Wow, I don't have to take a test. I can just apply and,
Yeah.
you don't have to. So that's, it's really good. For me personally, I'm glad to see that this has gone through and, glad to see that you're active on it too.
Yeah, we're very proud. I think it's
yeah,
extremely
and
exciting.
yeah, because it's nice because when you just have that constant hiring, because when you're stuck to once a year, you're not going to catch up. You're going to really be
The
hard to
test
catch
used
up.
to be
right?
every 2 years.
That's right. Yeah, that's
And
right.
now it's every year, and civil service is going to be implementing that the test will be twice a year.
So they're going to go back to
No, twice
twice
a
a
year.
year.
Oh, so
Spring
that's
and
good.
fall. They want to
Oh,
go
okay.
twice a year.
So
yeah.
that's good. So between that, spring, fall, and then the way with this is,
Yeah.
it
And with
is-
and the
it
big
seems like
Always
it's
difference.
have a
always
fresh
ongoing.
list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the big difference is with whether people have asked us, hey, if I take why would I ever take a test if I can just get a job?
Right.
But the difference with taking the test is during the employment screening process that the sergeant talks about a little bit, you have civil service protections for if you want to
Okay.
appeal. If we bypass you and you don't agree with us, you
Right.
can appeal it with civil service. Whereas if you go through this process, you're not included into civil service until
Right.
we hire you.
Till you hire.
Once
Okay.
we hire you, you get civil service protections.
Right.
But in the beginning, you don't have that. So if we bypass you, say we're not going to offer you a job, you really have there's no course to take
Right.
to challenge us on that bypass.
But in the long run, if you're bypassing them, they're pretty much not a probably good candidate anyways.
Yeah, it depends. Some people, listen, we all grew up in neighborhoods. We all have backgrounds, right?
Right.
The biggest thing that we see with candidates that we try to always stress to any of them is we understand you have life experiences.
Right.
Be willing to speak about them.
Okay.
Don't
right.
don't lie.
Don't lie. Exactly.
honest.
Be honest.
about it. Right.
We can appreciate your life experiences as long as you've grown and learned from them.
Right.
We're good with that.
Exactly.
Right? Because
Right.
we're human.
Right.
We make
Everybody
mistakes.
makes mistakes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just part of
Well,
life,
that's
right?
good.
But if
Yeah.
you come in and lie about those mistakes
Right.
and we learn about that, not only have you not learned from those mistakes, but clearly you're trying to hide them from the police department.
Right.
That's a red flag when it
That's
comes
right.
to
Yeah,
hiring. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
biggest things that
Yeah.
I see from people getting bypassed or withdraw is people that lie.
Right.
It's-
That's the first step is honesty.
Honest?
Integrity,
Integrity, right?
Integrity, right? It's
huge.
part of,
It's everything.
It's part of the.
It's the creed. It's
The
what you
creed,
when you
right,
put your
yeah,
hand up and
right.
swear that oath.
That's right,
To protect the
so-
citizens and those that you work for, right?
Yeah, and I guess what it is, some people just for the minute that you fill out that application, that's it. You're on that radar. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
You're right in your own book.
Exactly. Right. So
Right.
you got to make sure that you're up the game. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So now with this way here, compared to civil service, the benefits, everything, all that stays the same.
Everything's
right?
the
There's no, and they can still get the sign-on bonus.
Yeah, so
like
sign-on bonuses either way. Once we offer you employment, and I believe it's when they finish the academy, right before we swear them in, they cut that check for the sign-on bonus, or right after
Really?
they finish the academy.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, right in the beginning.
Oh, wow.
You know, and then if you want, Trevor can talk about all the things that are on that form, all the specific requirements that you would need to meet. But yeah, once we hire you and offer you, what we call a COE, a conditional offer of employment,
Right.
you now become an employee of the police department.
Right.
You now get all your civil service protections,
Yeah.
and then we lock you into a police academy and get you a date to start.
Well, good, very
Yeah.
good, good. And speaking about police academy, you usually got 2 academies that are usually going each time, usually?
Yeah, they run throughout the year.
Right.
There's about 3 academies in
three.
the area that we use, Randolph, Plymouth, and then there was just a new academy that started. Right now they're in their first academy in Falmouth.
In Falmouth, right?
Yep.
Right, yeah.
So we're kind of like at their mercy. So whenever they have a start date is when we send people at the earliest available.
Right, yeah. But that's nice because we have 3 usually with one's ending, you can usually send them
Yeah,
one
yeah.
here. So while that's going on, you still got one going on here, but that's probably ending, so you get to send them there.
They try to
So-
keep them staggered because Falmouth and Plymouth are pretty close as well as Randolph. So it's pretty staggered. So
Right.
we're always getting people involved. Right now we have student officers in 3 academies that are
Nice.
going on right now.
Nice.
18 graduating
So
in
you have-
June.
In June, wow.
Early
nice,
June, we'll have
nice.
18 more officers.
18,
Yeah,
wow.
it's a big number. It's the
That is.
biggest number in
I
a
mean,
while
I was going
for
to
the
say
city.
that, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
at one
biggest in a
time.
while. At one-
yeah,
yeah.
maybe since our academy.
Yeah, right.
Which was a long
Right
time
after-
ago.
right
yeah.
after us,
Yeah,
So it's a
nice.
big number. So it's really exciting.
Nice, nice, and hopefully with this way, that'll grow.
Yeah, we're hopeful. And then the
You
other
know?
big thing too is with this, there might be police officers out there who already have met all the minimum criteria to be a police officer,
Right.
and want to transfer over.
Transfer over, right, yeah.
And if they're listening, hopefully they see that New
Hopefully.
Bedford's a place to be, right?
Right.
Because we have lots of opportunity laterally and vertically to,
Right.
either try a special assignment, and as we grow our numbers and get back to where our budgeted manpower is, we can then put more people into special assignments and give them those opportunities, right?
Right.
Marine unit, traffic unit, special assignments like detectives
Right.
or SROs, right?
Yeah,
Somebody
right,
want to work in the
yeah.
schools. Then there's opportunity to make sergeant, lieutenant, to get promoted, to rise
Right.
up the ranks through their careers. You don't get a lot of that in small towns. They
No,
work the
right.
midnight shift for 10 years, 15 years. There may be 1 or 2 detective spots, right? So
yeah, yeah.
that's something that we're proud of that we get to
That's one
offer.
good thing about the city here. It's just that it's the opportunity is there.
Yes,
That's for sure.
yeah. Oh,
The
yeah.
opportunity is
I
I
definitely
tell them
there.
if they want to do police work, this is where
Yeah.
the place to be.
Right. I actually, my son-in-law's actually in this academy now that it's in
Is he?
Falmouth. Yeah. And I tell him every day, you make sure you just stick with it because this is
yeah.
a job. It's an incredible
Yeah,
job. This
21
is-
years. I
this
wouldn't
is-
want to change it for the world. I love it.
Yeah. So that's good. And Sergeant, if you want to go over a little bit more of the requirements there, like on the
So,
sheet here.
some of the basic things is obviously 21.
Right.
No serious misdemeanors within the last 5 years. So, I mean, if you had like an OUI within the last 5 years, we might.
Right, and
That's
that's
not
even that's even if they told the truth.
if they told the
That's-
truth.
that's-
Yeah, yeah.
That's something that can't be avoided.
Yeah, right.
Right.
No felonies.
Right.
No felony convictions. Honorable and general discharge is some of the requirements that we're looking for. Be able to get a LTC in the state of Massachusetts, as well as a driver's license.
Right. Right. Yeah. So usually, if they can't get the license to carry, it's usually because they have a felony anyway. So
Or domestic violence,
Or
restraining
so-
orders, things,
and
something.
they're not going to get high with that anyways.
Right.
Correct.
So,
Kinda wash each other
kind of
out.
washes out, right? Yeah.
But once in a while, you'll find somebody who has a very old conviction on their record who you might consider hiring because it's such an old
Right,
result.
right.
But that record prevents them from getting an LTC, and therefore they wouldn't be able to carry a firearm,
Right. So.
which is part of being a police officer.
Right. Yeah. 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 Even if you're buying a dust, you still carry a weapon.
Right. So,
Right. And so let's go a little bit about the physical part of it. They have to
Yeah.
go through a physical training, right?
So, after they pass the background portion, they'll be given an interview, and that's where they can kind of sell themselves to the command staff. If they pass that, which is usually in front of lieutenants, captains, and some sergeants, they pass the command staff. That's when they'll be given the COE, which is the conditional offer of employment, and then we'll send you for a physical. Once we know that physically you're okay, then that's when there's the physical agility test, which is put on by civil service.
Right.
And it's an obstacle course where they got to kind of like jump through a window, climb a little fence, go up some stairs, be able to simulate taking someone down, and handcuffing them, and then like pulling a trigger of a handgun to
Right.
make sure they have the dexterity to do it.
So the physical part of it is still set up by civil service rules.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Right.
And then there's also another physical standard that's needed to get into an academy that's required by MPTC, which
Okay.
is the Mass Training Council.
Right. Yep. Okay. Good. So, and part of that training is consists of run-in.
For the MPTC, for the
Right.
academy, it's a 1.5 mile run,
Yep.
push-ups,
Push-ups.
a plank, hold the plank for 30 seconds,
really? Okay.
and then a 300-meter run.
A 300-meter run.
Yep.
Nice.
We lose
okay.
a lot of candidates on the running.
And that's okay. That's where you lose.
Yeah.
So you get out there.
Yeah, you gotta run. You gotta get out there and
Running
run.
and push-ups,
Running
that's
and
what we
push-ups,
need.
yeah.
That's what we
Yeah.
care about. I tell them I don't care about how much you're bench pressing.
Right.
Just do push-ups and run.
And run.
Yeah.
That's all I want you to do.
And there's a number of push-ups they have to do.
Depending on the age,
age, okay.
but the youngest age bracket, which is the 20 to 29, I think it's 26
26. Oh,
for,
see.
for men, and I
you go.
believe it's 13 for females.
Oh, see, so you listen out there. I know you can do 26 push-ups, right?
I hope so, right? They start today.
Yeah, start doing it today.
Yeah, go for a 2-mile jog and do 26 push-ups.
That's it. So if they have college background,
Yes.
is there an incentive for that as well?
There is. So depending on what the degree is, if it's in a criminal justice related field, we offer incentive stipends towards those degrees when they finish the academy and become part of the police department. So they'll get paid more money. I believe the payout is twice a year. They'll get like an extra check
Right.
with a lump sum amount of money in it,
Right.
depending on which type of degree they have.
See, so there's money that could be made out there by being a police officer.
And there's plenty of opportunity. You know, one of the things
opportunity,
that we also have within the New Bedford Police Department is there's a lot of overtime opportunities because we are short staffed, but we don't force a lot. You know, in small communities, if they have vacancies, they fill it. So some officers are working 2, 3, 4 shifts a week.
Right.
You know, we've recognized that, you know, there's a work-life balance, especially as a police officer, and knowing that when your shift ends at midnight on Saturday night, that you can go home and rest
Right.
is a good feeling for officers, right?
Right,
To know
yes.
that when you come to work on Sunday and you work until 4 o'clock in the afternoon and the Patriots are on at 4:05,
Right, yeah.
you're going to be able to get home and get to the game, right? So,
Right.
you know, a lot of the younger officers we've learned over the years, especially in the newer generation, you know, and I give them credit, they appreciate their time off more than maybe us older Gen X
Right,
officers
right.
do, right? A lot of us older cops would just work,
Work, yeah,
details, work
yeah,
overtime.
right.
You know, the newer, younger generation, I think they just appreciate their time off more. They need
Right.
to decompress a little bit, right?
Right.
And who can fault them for that?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So part of, even though they can make money if they want, the overtime's there, the details
Right.
are there, they're not really necessarily required. The only times that we really force is like major events, like feast weekend's a big weekend for
Right,
us in
right,
the city,
yeah,
right?
right, yeah.
But if you're going to work in New Bedford, you got to know about the feast,
Right,
right?
yeah.
July 4th weekend, there's a lot of July 4th,
Right.
Cape Verdean Parade, a lot of
Right,
events, a lot of
yeah.
real special things in the community. That's a very busy weekend in New
Right.
Bedford.
So usually you do that for blackout dates then.
There's some, not so much blackout, but dates that we know we're going to need extra help,
Right,
right?
yeah.
But they're very limited throughout the year. Most of
Right.
the time, the officers aren't going to be forced, but if they want to work, they can. The opportunity is there.
They have to work. Good. And they still, and paid holidays, they still get, right? You still
Plenty of
still
paid
get
holidays,
still,
yeah.
Holidays.
Right, it's for, yeah.
14 paid.
Paid vacation,
Sick
paid
leave,
personal
right?
days,
Yeah,
sick leave. Yep.
So, yeah.
It's a union. It's a union workshop. So when they come out of the academy, they join in the New Bedford Police Union, so they get union protections.
Okay, yeah.
There's a New Bedford Police Association they can join if they wish, which is like a secondary association where they pay fees and there's some benefits to that
Right,
go with being
yep.
a police officer. They join. There's the FOP, Fraternal Order of Police Lodge, that they become a member of. Massachusetts Police Association, they become a member of. All these things are included when you join our team.
Right.
So there's a lot of benefits to it.
Good. So, again, this is Scott Pemberton. I am from What's Happening in Your Neighborhood with Sergeant Trevor Sylvia and Assistant Deputy Chief Derek Belong. And this is how you can become a police officer. You know, just you can apply, go online. There's a QSR code. You don't have to wait for the civil service test now. You can just go in and go, and it's just ongoing.
Yeah. Yeah, Facebook. It's on
you know.
Facebook. It's on our website. They click the link
There you
and
go.
start filling out the
And
application.
your website, and how do they get to your website? You just, it's,
NewBedfordPolice.com.
There you go.
Just
New
Google
Bedford,
it.
so it's easy.
Google
Just Google it,
New
yep.
Bedford Police Department. We're
you
there.
go.
And then Facebook, same thing. You know, Holly does a great job. Our PIO, she does a great job
Yep.
of posting everything and getting that information out there and sharing it. So it's all out there ready to go.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
If somebody is a city employee and they decide to transfer over to the police department, they carry that city
So their time is still-
so their pensionable time carries with
Yep,
them.
yep.
You know, so somebody's working at, say, City Hall in the clerk's office or at the school system, and, you know, they work in a cafeteria, and they got school time, and they got city time, and they want to come over.
Right.
You know, the times all carries with
Yep.
them for their time, not on our job, but it carries overall for their retirement
For
age.
right,
Yes,
okay,
that's,
yeah.
that's another thing that I think a lot of the younger generation forget is, and it matters more when you get older, but when you work for the police department or any city entity, there's a pension system.
I was just gonna say, so that
Yeah.
pension system, that's important.
Much bigger than Social Security,
Right.
right? And once you get into that, you know, you save some money. We have opportunity to do deferred compensation, so they can put some of the check away into a second retirement.
Right.
So they can, you know, if you're smart and you manage your funds well between your pension and deferred compensation, you know, if you work a long, you know, healthy career, you can retire at a fairly young age. I mean, our numbers are 55,
Wow,
32
wow,
years,
nice.
55 years
Yeah.
old, it maxes you out.
Right, yeah.
So-
So imagine that, right, be 55, be retired, and still be able to go fish when you want. And,
Do whatever you want,
right,
yeah,
do
yeah,
whatever
and
you
you're
want,
collecting a
and
pension,
you
right?
collect a good
Job,
pension, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So,
you know.
Pension's one of those things I think a lot of the newer officers aren't really familiar with and they don't appreciate
don't
it as much.
appreciate it as much,
But,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
something that
Yeah.
you don't get in private sector that's extremely
Right,
beneficial in
right,
the end.
Right. And I know we talked about benefits and holiday stuff, and the starting pay is to become a police officer?
It's
65,000, right?
65,
so,
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's
And if you work nights, it's a little more because they have night differential.
differential,
Yep.
so,
And then
right,
every
yeah.
year they get a step increase till they get to the max, you know?
Right, yeah.
And obviously if they have a degree, it's more.
Right,
If
yeah.
they obtain a detectives, it's more because there's a differential for that.
Right.
If they get promoted to sergeant or lieutenant
Right,
or
you always
higher,
get more,
there's
yeah,
more. So
yeah.
the opportunity to
Right,
make more is always there
right.
as well.
And then, and for details, if you're higher rank, you can get more money on details too.
Yeah, there's plenty of work
Right,
out
so
there.
there's
You see
plenty
them all
out
the
there.
time, right?
Yeah,
I
you
lived near
do,
Kings
right?
Highway. They're up there for years.
Yeah, right, yeah. So, you know, like we said, eligibility requirements, 21, high school diploma or GED,
Mm-hmm.
you don't need no college, driver's license, right, active
Driver's
driver's license. You know, I mean, this is, like I said, this is really a great thing. And it's for five years?
Yeah, so the way it works in civil services, we went into an agreement with them for 5 years. And the agreement reads that no more than 50% of the people that we hire can be taken off of this new process.
Okay.
So if we're going to hire 20 police officers in 5 years, we still have to hire 10 from that list, the exam they
For the
take.
exam, they take, okay.
And we can hire 10 off the list.
Off the list,
That somebody
okay.
walks in the door and says, I want to be a cop.
Right,
We can hire 10 of you, but we
Right.
still got to take 10 off the list. So the list still matters. It still has its weight.
Right.
Still need it.
And after 5 years, what's going to happen with civil service, they're going to spot check our hiring process. If after 2 years we've hired 20 from the local registry and none from the list, they're going to call and say, hey,
right.
you guys need to slow down and get back to the list because your 5 years you're going to be way off balance.
Well, what happens if nobody decides to take the test and they go do it this way, though?
That's the problem. That's why the test is still important, right? Because, and I think you'll see is, you know, as a police department, we have to find the balance of where, you know, we were getting a new list soon.
Right.
Because the exam just passed.
Right.
There'll be a lot of good applicants on there. And we want to hire from the list.
Right.
We think it's important that you have people who still want to follow the process, take the test. So we have to be very careful and mindful of how many we take that
Right.
are just sending in applications
it's-
immediately.
right.
Because if we take too many, and then we don't have either the budget or the space or the academies to put seats,
Right.
we're not going to be able to touch the list.
Yeah.
So we have to be very conservative in that. So
then,
we talk about it all the time. Hey, if we're going to hire 10 this year, let's not do more than 5 from
right.
the separate process, and we'll make sure we can get 5 from the
then we
list.
can
From the list
readjust
there.
after that,
Right,
after
exactly.
those kind of-
Exactly. Yeah.
And be
So
able
it's
to pivot. Pivoting is going to be important.
Right, that's
while
gonna be
we're
important.
navigating. This is brand new for everybody.
Yeah,
so we just
exactly. Yeah, so you don't want to go too far ahead
Yeah,
of yourself.
yeah. I don't wanna
on
hire
this,
20 from this and then
that, right, and then now you, yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice. And, you know,
Exactly, right, yeah, because they get 20 more in there.
catch up a
I
little
mean,
bit.
Yeah,
Be-
yeah,
you know.
we can sure use them, but
we definitely can use them.
you know, to do it the right way, yeah, we want to make sure. But yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, again, it's just great. You know, and I'm glad that you guys came in and had a chance to, you know, go over this and,
Yeah.
you know, let the people know that they have more choices. That, you know, not just sitting down and taking the test. They can go ahead and apply at any time.
Yeah.
And
And what would you say the best way for them if they have questions as viewers to get a hold of
yes, yeah, that's a good point too. Is
Definitely by email. You
Email.
can email trainingdivision@newbedfordpd.com.
okay.
That
so
would be the easiest.
all right. So you got that training division at newbedfordpd.com.
Any questions? If any of your viewers have questions for us or want to know more about the process that we didn't answer today, you know, they can absolutely
Sure.
email us, or
Right.
you know, we're pretty friendly people.
Right, yeah.
You know, especially Sergeant Trevor here.
Right, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you want to hire, you don't want to discourage
Yeah,
anybody,
right.
You
Yeah,
wanna-
so
you want to get
whatever,
them in
we're here to
here,
help. So whatever we
gotta
can do to
them,
help
right.
and guide them.
Yeah, and then you offer, like you said, you offer training classes after you get to the list and stuff. Or once you hire, is that what it is? You have classes on a weekend or something like that? And
No,
just-
once they hire,
or-
they get their start date and they do the academy, and then the academy is going to be it's a one big long class.
That's a full-time job.
Okay.
And they will be getting paid. That's one of the big questions that people ask us. We will pay for the academy, and they will be getting paid while they're in the academy.
Right. So the difference with that, so if somebody's going to take a civil service, you'd still offer them preparation how to do the civil service test.
Yeah, so that's that class we do
Right,
is
that's
just to
just-
prepare
just
for that
prepare
test. So
to
we'll
prep.
continue
So
to
that's
do that.
different. So-
That's different. That's
right.
prior to them taking that
Okay.
exam,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
For this, there's no training for it
Okay.
because there's no test.
No test, okay.
And then, but once they get hired and they join the civil service group,
Right.
we put that bucket of people into an academy.
Yep.
Then they start the 21 or 22 weeks of training at whatever academy they're sent to,
Right.
where they're being paid as a city employee.
Okay, good. And then so that list really never really expires, the in-house, obviously, right?
It wouldn't, yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't
correct.
necessarily expire where the
Yeah,
civil
there's a new
service
one coming out, right?
expires once a new one comes out.
Correct, exactly.
Right.
And the other caveat too with civil service, they said, is with them doing 2 exams a year when it starts, if you take it twice, they'll only count your best score.
Okay.
So if you score a
that's-
98 now, and then in the fall a 96,
Right.
your 98 will last as long as that second list lasts.
Oh, so that's
But
good.
once
then.
that second one expires, you need
Then
to
you
take
have
it again and
to
get a
take
new
it again.
score.
Right.
But it'll last for 2 exams, basically.
Wow. I mean, that's.
So there's plenty of
I
opportunity.
was just gonna say that, man.
you
There's
know,
so many opportunities out there. There's
they-
no
they-
excuse.
They're thinking outside the box and try to help you do well and get on that list. So.
No, that's great. That's great. Again, I want to thank you for coming in. Anything else maybe we didn't cover? You want to mention anything that you may want to put out there, or
I think it's pretty much everything.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
No,
This is
again,
really
thank you.
great. The more exposure we can get.
Absolutely. I want to get this out there. Get people out there to, fill these
appreciate that.
applications and become a police officer. It's really a great job.
Best
You
job in
know,
the world.
I don't care what you hear out there. It's the best job out there. You won't go wrong. So if you're out there listening to this or you're going to see this, just keep in mind. Keep in mind about being a police officer. You're really not going to regret it. It's the opportunities are out there. The pay's out there. People say the pay's not great, but you have opportunity to make the money out there. So,
Thank you so much for having us today.
no, thanks. Again, I'm Scott Pemberton, Sergeant Trevor Sylvia, Assistant Deputy Chief Derek Belong. This is what's happening in your neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you.